Hey, what's going on, everybody? RogersBase here. Happy New Year. Welcome to my first One Piece manga chapter video of 2022. And look, all right, I'm obviously still in Chicago right now. I'm going to be here for the next week, and so there's no live reaction to this week's chapter, but 1036 obviously leaked like weeks ago. I know a lot of you have probably already read it, and in addition to that, even if you follow the official release, you probably logged onto the Shonen Jump website yesterday expecting to see a new chapter because it was Sunday. You click it and go, oh, wait a minute, there's still no chapter till Monday, so I feel like spoilers for this one were unavoidable, but I'm also not really particularly upset that I saw things early about this chapter because, quite frankly, this is one of those chapters that's more setup and getting us ready for what's to come than anything else. There were a couple cool little things in 1036, like that discussion between King and Kaido talking about how King thought that Kaido might be Joy Boy and that's why he's following him. And there were also some cool moments with the stuff with Cipher Pol and asking whether, they found Robin yet, and you see that Drake has actually lost his fight. But really, most of it was surveying the land and seeing, okay, Zoro's fight with King is now over. You see Sanji's fight with Queen is now over. Yamato's down in the weapons area, and you've got Luffy and Kaido exchanging blows at the end of the chapter and smiling, which is actually pretty exciting, because to me, that is saying we are nearing the end of this. I know there's a lot of people who still want Luffy to lose this fight against Kaido, to lose another time, for this whole raid to end in failure, for him to then have to come back again and fight him. But I'm going to be honest, I am so tired of that discussion that I personally, again, this is just me personally, don't want to see that happen. I'm at a point where I'm like, let's just kind of get it over with at this point. And that's not to say I'm not liking Wano Country. In fact, I really do like Wano. I loved the stuff with Sanji and Queen. I loved the fight with Zoro and King. But I do feel like we've been in this for so long that I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't feeling a little bit of arc fatigue by this point. And that's not to say that I think that Oda is not going to be able to craft some amazing final fight with Luffy and Kaido. In fact, I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to exceed a lot of our expectations. But in terms of predictions for what I think is going to happen with that Luffy versus Kaido fight, I don't know. I think we're all sort of on the same page. And the people who aren't on the same page, I just think that Luffy is going to lose, right? I think most of us who think Luffy is eventually going to win this fight now are on the page that he's going to get some type of new power-up, right? Either Gear 5 or Devil Fruit Awakening or, some type of new Gear 4 form paired with his ability to actually, channel his haki into his attacks. But I don't know. Beyond that, I don't see any really surprising thing happening in this final fight with Luffy and Kaido. I think it's going to be exciting, and I'm, really interested to see what Oda's going to do with that fight, but I'm not really expecting to be surprised. And that's probably a good thing too, right? Because then if Oda ends up coming in with some shocking surprise at the end of this Luffy and Kaido fight, I'm going to be really happy about it. But moving on from that, then let's talk a little bit about something else that we saw during this chapter. And the thing that actually gets me the most excited moving into what I believe is going to be the finale of Wano in 2022, and that's the stuff with Cipher Pol, because we see Apu looking back at Cipher Pol seemingly having taken down X-Drake, and them sort of being one of the few left on the bad guy side that is still standing, right? All the Tobi Roppo are dealt with. All the commanders are dealt with. Cipher Pol is sort of in this weird position where, the fight is still going on with Big Mom and Kid and Law, and you've got Luffy and Kaido, and they're saying, things can turn on a dime at this point. We gotta be ready for an upset. Kaido and Big Mom are still left, but on the off chance that these newbies end up taking these characters down, we got to be ready to hightail it out of here or make a change in the world. And I guess the other thing that we still have left that we saw a little glimpse of in this chapter is Komurasaki, right, and Orochi. But I still feel like that's going to be handled pretty easily, probably at the end of Wano Country with Hiyori taking out the last head of Orochi, which would be really symbolic because, she's the last one of the Kosuke clan alongside Momonosuke. I don't know. It'd be really nice. I would like to see Hiyori be the one to take down Orochi. But I really do think there's a lot of interesting potential there with Cipher Pol. And I guess while we're on the topic of discussing what I think could happen at the end of Wano, if I had to predict a direction Cipher Pol is going to go with all of this, I'm thinking back to what we heard from Big Mom and from Cipher Pol back in 2021. Both of them want Nico Robin. Now, I certainly don't want there to be another Robin rescue arc, but I do think that desire to get to her is sort of something that's going to come into play near the end of Wano Country. I think we're going to have Big Mom maybe potentially going against those government ships that we saw last year as well, because I think the Cipher Pol people who are there right now will probably want to meet up with those government ships. Big Mom, if the Straw Hats are trying to escape at the end of the arc, right, is probably going to want to chase after Robin. The government ships are going to stop stop her, and that might be that clash that I'm expecting, or, you know, thinking could make sense with the story that we've got right now left in Wano country. So I do think that's sort of the direction things are going there. I do think there's going to be a really cool moment for Law and Kid, and I would be thrilled if Big Mom ends up getting taken down here and we get some amazing fight where Law and Kid do one other jaw-dropping attack or reveal something really cool about their Devil Fruit Awakening powers that we don't already know. But ultimately, I do think that Big Mom is still going to get away, and this goes back to predictions that I had in 2021 as well, and other discussions that we've had in the community. I don't know, I kind of feel like Big Mom is needed still for the eventual Elbaf arc, right? I don't want to get into this whole discussion, but Oda has said, right, that we've got about 5 years left of the story. And, you know, Oda's lied before, but I realistically think after everything the editors said over the course of Wano Country and over the course of the past year, and knowing what we're getting in 2022, right, we're going to get that Shanks movie, and potentially maybe a lot of that Shanks story that we would have expected in the manga is now going to be relegated to that movie. And we don't know this for sure. Again, this is just me spitballing and predicting. But if that ends up being the case, I could totally see him not necessarily rush to the end, but I think really make moves to get us to the end of the story quicker than a lot of people expect. I think that's a better way to say it, instead of saying that he's going to rush to the end. Because again, I don't think Oda's going to rush to the end. I have more faith in him than that. But the one arc that I still feel has to happen is Elbaf. There's just too many things in the story that have been set up, dating back to all the way back with Little Garden and Usopp back in the very beginning of the story. And then, of course, leading up to stuff in Whole Cake Island with, Big Mom's history there and Mother Carmel and the kids. And then also, going back to that idea with Big Mom potentially sparring off against those government agents, there have been a lot of people who theorized that some of those members of Cipher Pol are actually the kids that were seemingly eaten by Big Mom during her flashback, or a couple of the kids that were eaten. I'm sure she ate a lot of them. We know she ate Mother Carmel. But that's a big theory that's been going around out there. And I think that'd be an interesting way to sort of bring Big Mom and the government to Elbaf, right? And then also reveal that history to Big Mom. If she ends up seeing the faces of the other Cipher Pol agents, then oh my God, they end up being similar looking to the kids. Maybe that unlocks a memory in her brain. We know her brain works weird with all this amnesia stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of cool story potential, again, with Cipher Pol and with Big Mom, where if you would have told me this at the beginning of 2021, that the thing I would be most excited about regarding the end of Wano Country is actually stuff with Big Mom, I would have laughed in your face. But that's kind of where we are right now, because I think the main story beats for the stuff that's tied to Wano are pretty set in stone, in my opinion. I think Luffy's going to beat Kaido. I think we're, of course, going to get that moment with Momonosuke holding up Onigashima over the Fire Festival, protecting the people of the Fire Festival in the same way that we saw Oden holding up the scabbards all the way back in his flashback. I think the parallel makes too much sense. On top of that, Momonosuke is now Oden's age. He's been aged up. I think that might be a cool moment if, Momo somehow is struggling with these clouds to hold Onigashima up, and then ends up actually looking like, in his physical form, Oden, while still standing on the clouds and utilizing all the powers of his Devil Fruit. I think that could be a really neat moment. And, I think it won't be any less impactful, despite the fact that we all sort of know it's going to happen at this point, right? I think we all kind of think that's where the story's going with Momonosuke and the parallels to Oden and, the parallels to the stuff we saw in his flashback as well. So, okay, Momonosuke covered. We got Luffy and Kaido pretty much covered. I think, I did this video with Sensei. I think we recorded it last week. I don't know if the video is going to be up by the time I'm uploading this video. But we recorded this video sort of going over our predictions for how Wano will end, because we did that at the very beginning of 2021. And I think a lot of people's ideas have changed, but mine were pretty much the same as what I said in that beginning video of 2021. I don't know. I just feel like there are the main story beats, the stuff with Luffy and Kaido and Momonosuke that we've gone over in this video, that I think we've come to expect. And I think the one real question I still have in regards to the end of Wano is, we're going to obviously get that big party, right? We're going to get some giant lore dump. We're going to find out some truth about the world that, it's probably going to blow our minds, something maybe related to the sun god or something else that none of us are going to see coming. But I do think the big question on my mind, and on a lot of your minds as well, is, are we going to be leaving Wano Country with a new Straw Hat. Is Yamato actually officially going to join the crew? Now, again, we get a little bit of stuff with Yamato in today's chapter with, Yamato running down to the weapons facility and getting past one of the doors with the numbers as well. And, I'm still standing by what I said in that video back in 2021. I think it is more obvious now than ever before that Yamato is being set up to be a new Straw Hat. And I know some people say they want to have Yamato stay in Wano Country and that maybe Momo's going to join the crew. Or no, maybe we're going to have, another character end up joining. Or we're not going to have anybody join at all and Yamato's going to stay put. Or I've even seen people saying that Yamato's going to die and sacrifice themselves with the giant, I think it's called Kazenbo, the giant fireball thing that, what's his face, Ronald McDonald set up. I don't know why I'm forgetting the names. I guess it's because I'm recording this kind of early and I'm still in Chicago time, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't know, I kind of feel like Yamato, to me, is a lock for the Straw Hats at this point. I know maybe we're going to look back at this video at the end of 2022 and people are going to laugh in my face and go, Roger, LOL, you really thought Yamato was going to join the crew, but I just think the stars are aligning. I think there was a lot of stuff in the setup to last year, right, and the stuff with episode 1000 and chapter 1000 where they were really hyping up Yamato a lot in the merch, talking about how Yamato wants to go off to sea. That happened multiple times in the chapters last year with Yamato saying, I want to go travel with Luffy and go travel the world and be like Oden. And sure, you know what? Oden traveled with the Pirate King. Why can Yamato not be the scribe for Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates and, travel with them to Elbaf? Maybe, Maybe Elbaf happens. I know I'm going over the place with my predictions, but you know what? Maybe Elbaf happens after Wano Country and Yamato, actually gets to experience a full story arc with the crew as a member of the crew before we actually get to that final arc, the stuff with Laugh Tale moving into that final war. I think we still need, if we are going to get a new Straw Hat at this point, one kind of classic One Piece arc where we have the crew completely together interacting with each other. And I think that could be a lot of fun. Seeing Yamato's reactions to the Giants, seeing Yamato interact with these other Straw Hats in Elbaf, leading up to either Lodestar Island or the stuff in Laugh Tale or the confrontation with Blackbeard. I just think we need some type of crew interaction. I think that's the big thing that a lot of people are missing and a lot of people who are detractors for Yamato joining the crew. A big reason, why I think a lot of people don't necessarily want that to happen is because they haven't seen that crew interaction yet. We've seen, obviously, that bond between Yamato and Luffy, but we haven't really seen that bond with Yamato and the rest of the Straw Hats yet. And so I think getting that either at the party at the end of Wano Country with whatever lore dump we're going to get, or in a full story arc before we end up getting into that final arc of the series, whether it's a multi-part arc with the stuff on Laugh Tale and the stuff at Marijoa, and at the end of the fight with the world government and the fight with all these other pirates. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that we know are going to happen at the end of One Piece, but before we get there, I really do want, if Yamato is going to join the crew, a little bit of a story arc where Yamato can actually hang out with all of them and just have a good time. But, covering Yamato, covering Momonosuke, Luffy and Kaido, and then pretty much the ending of all these other fights that we saw in 1036, I think that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to talk about in today's video. I know this one's a little shorter than normal. I know it's weird to not have a reaction from me, but again, I figured, well, I'm not doing a live stream this week because I'm not going to be in LA and I don't have my regular streaming set up. And so many of you already read the chapter that if I just sat here and recapped what happened in 1036, this wouldn't be as interesting of a video. But on the other hand, so many people are always asking me, how do I think Wano is going to end? And I think I pretty much summarized all my different story beats that I think are going to happen in this video, while still touching a little bit on things that happened during this chapter as well. I still think the coolest part of this chapter was that final, look between Luffy and Kaido, because to me, that told me what I needed to see, which was that, okay, Luffy and Kaido is happening, and this is it. Luffy was never smiling in the fight against Kaido before. We had two previous fights. He lost both fights. This is that third and final fight that we always are seeing in these classic One Piece story arcs, where Luffy loses the first fight, learns something in the second fight, and then finally, in that third fight, manages to take down the villain. And I really do honestly believe Kaido is going to go down now. I am less inclined to believe that he's going to die at the end of Wano Country. I still think there is a story possibility for Blackbeard maybe coming in at the end of Wano, and going back to what I said all the way back in those videos in 2016 and 2017, leading up to the Wano Country arc, when we were still making predictions. We didn't even know Yamato was a character at this point, right? And where I said that I think that Blackbeard and his crew might be able to swoop in. And we still did have that moment in Act 2 in which Blackbeard, was seen, and we have that moment with Moria, and we find out that Absalom was dead, and we see Katarina Devon. Maybe that was our tease that at the end of all of this, Blackbeard's going to end up showing his face, right? After the Luffy versus Kaido fight is done, maybe Kaido is chained up on a boat somewhere or something, and then Blackbeard, swoops in and tries to kill him and takes his devil fruit. That could still happen, but I'm not betting on that happening anymore. I don't think that it's as likely that Blackbeard ends up showing his face at the end of this as I think I would have originally said at the beginning of Wano Country. And honestly, I don't even know if we're going to get 5 acts anymore. I mean, realistically, Luffy versus Kaido could just end in Act 3, and we can get a final denouement act at the end of Wano that sort of has the party and gives us more information about the world at large, has Yamato join the crew, and then we're off to whatever the first story arc of the final saga of One Piece is. And in my opinion, I think it has to be Elbaf. But anyway, I've talked on long enough. Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my live reaction to 1037, which again is not going to be next Sunday. It's not going to be this upcoming Sunday. We're still going on break. And then I think the next chapter is going to be around the 15th or something like that. But rest assured, I will be doing a live reaction to that chapter live on stream as normal, still doing my review discussions, and I'll probably have something fun to upload next week as well. I know I've got some, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but there's going to be a Japan Time podcast this upcoming Monday, not this Monday, not the day I'm recording this, but next Monday, that I think is going to get a lot of people really excited. And then, of course, when I get back to LA, first thing I'm going to do is react to the ending of Solo Leveling as well, because that was just announced to be ending, and I only have like 15 or so chapters left. Anyway, I've ended this video like 3 times already. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday and a happy new year, and I will see you all when I get back to LA. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.